Welcome to the eXtremeRate channel. In this video we're going to be showing you how to install the real metal buttons RISE4 RMB remap kit. Now there's a few different versions of controllers that you might have. If you want to pause this here, you'll be able to use like a little reference to see which version you do have. So inside the box you're going to get what you always get. Obviously you get a back case in here. My personal preference is the rubberized one. I'd recommend that to anybody. You get a screwdriver and a prying tool. You'll get some spare screws and obviously you'll get the kit. You've got your two paddles for the back button kit, and obviously you've got the other bit what clips on for your spare buttons. That is your metal part, and inside the box here you get a little warranty card just to let you know if you've got any issues. Now the version we're going to be working on here is going to be the 10. And the first thing that you're going to do is grab your prying tool and you're going to be removing L1 and R1. The way to do that is just put your prying tool underneath and just turn it left and right, and it should come off straight away. Now the bottom piece here, you just want to put your prying tool in the corners where it's showing you. Just press it in. You don't have to be really hard, but just press it in and these should come out. And then if you just go along the line here, and you'll be able to remove this cover, or the fascia I should say. And then what you're going to do is remove the two bottom screws. You've got one on either side, and just quickly remove them. Once the two screws are removed from the bottom, you're going to remove another two from the top, which are these ones that are shown. And these just come out anti-clockwise. Once they're removed, the next thing you're going to have to do is split the case in half. There's two little tabs here. All you're going to do is put your prying tool underneath and lift these up a little bit just so you've got better access to opening the case, and then just put the prying tool in the side here and just lift it up a little bit. That should crack the case open. If it's a brand new one it might be a little bit more difficult, but I wouldn't worry. And then you're going to remove the back cover. The next thing what you're going to do is remove the battery. So if you just lift this up and then you gently pull that off, just be really careful with the battery. The next thing that you're going to do is remove this little ribbon cable down here. And there is a screw on the tray holding it in, again anti-clockwise if you just take that out. You've got another two screws here on the left and the right hand side what you're going to be removing. These come out anti-clockwise as well. Now you're just going to take the battery tray off, just put that to one side. There's a little ribbon down here. All you're going to do is just remove that with your fingers and that should just come straight out. There's one on the top here. This one might be a little bit more tricky, so you might have to use tweezers, but if you can, just use your fingers. And you've got one on the left and the right hand side. These have got little tabs on them, so they're quite easy to pull out. These ones, they're probably the easiest of them all. And then you just remove these fully, as you'll be replacing these with the ones that you've got in the kit. And exactly the same with this side, just remove that one totally, as you'll be replacing that one as well. There's two tiny little tabs on both sides what are holding the board in. All you want to do is just press them in a little bit and it should release the board. When you've released the board, it'll look like this. Now you've got two screws here on the top, on the left and the right hand side. We're just going to quickly remove them. Same as the other ones, they're anti-clockwise, so they should just come out easy peasy. And then the full thing should come apart like this, should separate. And your trackpad just pushes out. If you push from the bottom, that'll remove easily. You've got two screws on your trackpad, one on the left and one on the right. Just going to quickly remove them, again anti-clockwise. But just a quick note, if you don't want this to be remapped, obviously you can see, you can just skip the video past all this. This is just if you want R3, L3 and the touchpad. So we're going to separate these and we're going to get to the soldering iron. We're going to turn that on. There's obviously two different versions of these control pads. There's a Japanese and the US, and that's what they look like. The next thing that you're going to do is just be removing the ribbon cable that just pulls out if you're nice and gentle. It's down here what you're going to be soldering onto, the little tiny point. First off, if you just get some fresh solder and you just put it on here just so you've got a little bit of a better connection. Then you're going to grab one of your bags and you'll find the little wire that you need inside here. It's the skinniest one that you'll find. It's just a long skinny wire, or a thin wire I should say, and that's what it is. And we're just going to be soldering one end to this little point here, and it's as easy as that. Make sure you've got the red wire pointed down, and the next thing that you're going to do is reinstall the ribbon cable that you took out. This should just push back in the way it came out. Should look like this. And then we're just going to grab our original holder that we took out and we're just going to feed everything through the hole. So the wires through and then the ribbons through the same hole. And then just put these together. And then we're just going to reinstall the screws, the one on the left and the right. When you're putting these in, obviously they're going clockwise. When both screws are screwed into place, you're just going to be putting the trackpad where it came from. You're just going to be replacing it. If you remove the share and the options button, this will just give you a little bit better access. And then if you just replace them buttons back the way you got them. Now on the board here you've got R3 and L3. This is just in case you want to remap these. If you don't, you can skip the video. So the points are this one on the left and the one on the right here. Inside the kit you will have got this piece that you're going to be putting over. This is the ribbon for the remappable L3 and R3. So all you're going to do is just be putting this on the back of the board. Line it up with the points that you're going to be soldering onto, and then if you've got some tape, if you just put this down just to hold it into place so it won't move around. And that's a piece of tapes that are stuck down. Like I say, it's just to hold this together so it doesn't move anywhere. And then if you grab your soldering iron, these are just tiny little points that you're going to be putting on top. And that side's done. And this side is also done. And that's what it should look like. And then if you just remove the little pieces of tape that you got, but just be careful when you're removing these, don't pull really hard, just in case you do rip the ribbon off. You shouldn't, but just in case. And that's what it should look like on the left and the right hand side for the R3 and L3. That's a little bit of a closer image for you, just so you can see what it looks like. Next, what you're going to do is feed the wire through the little hole where the original ribbon went through. That wire is just obviously part of the trackpad, and just make sure that that comes through. And then we're going to be replacing the two screws on the top here that were removed earlier, so they just go in clockwise. Now the next thing that you're going to grab is this that came in the kit. This is the main part that puts everything together. Now what we're going to do here is going to be soldering onto here. There's a tiny little point, and this is just going to be for your trackpad. But if you don't wish to do this, you can skip the video a little bit further on. Same thing as always, just put a little bit of fresh solder on, just so you've got a better connection and you've got a point to solder to. And if you grab the other end of the wire that you've got, and you're just going to solder this onto here. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to be aligning this with the original one that's on here. This just goes over the top of it, and it just presses down into place. You can see there's two sort of kind of little prongs that are sticking up, and it just goes over the top of them. And then you just want to put the board back over the top again. There's a tiny little ribbon here on the bottom, just be careful for that one because it does get caught. And then just press everything into place. The ribbon that I mentioned on the bottom here, if you just want to reinstall that one's easy enough to just press back in. It's probably the smallest one that you'll find, but it just goes back in. And again with the top one, the install process of that is a lot easier than taking it out. So that one just pushes down. There's a little tiny line on that to let you know it's in. And the rest of the kit is obviously inside the bag here, just your little ribbon cables that you're going to be using on the left and the right hand side. Just get these out. And inside the bag you have got a little description, or a diagram I should say, to let you know what's what, because obviously with them being two different versions, you've got the 10 and the 20, or the 010 and the 020. So obviously if you're using the install for a 20, you'll cut the 10, and vice versa. If you're using the 10, you'll cut the 20. You can just use some scissors to take these off. And then this is just showing you what it should be like. It's got a little tick there to let you know that that is the right way. And then to fit this one, it just goes in the corner here. It's kind of tucked away, but if you hold it like this and you just press it down, it should just go straight in. And then if you fold it over a little bit, and it will go on the existing one that we took out earlier at the start of the video. And that one's in. That's what it should look like. And the other side might be a little bit more difficult because some people have been turning it round a little bit wrong and whatnot. But on the video you can see here where it's telling you to cut. So if you want a 10 or a 20. And again, if you just use some scissors, and that's what it should look like once you've cut it. Again, you can use the paper here just to go to reference, just to, so you know you've got it right. And then if you grab your control pad, and we're just going to fit this on the right hand side. So first off, if you want to push this in the corner here, and just press that down, and then if you fold it over, and then it just goes into the other half where you can see here, and again just press that down, now if you want to grab your battery tray and put that on the way that you got it, pull these ribbons out the way so you don't get them stuck underneath, and then pull this bottom ribbon out the way as well. I believe this bottom one is for your microphone, If the rubber does come off it, it's easy enough to put back on. You can just use a reference to the video and it will go back on. And then you want to fit the screw that you took out earlier for the battery tray. That's just the one screw. And as always, this one goes in clockwise. And then if you just replace that back in here, it just presses down, and that's what it should look like. Now we're going to be fitting the battery again. It just goes in the connection here, it just presses straight in, and the battery goes down. You can see the shiny bit is on the top. That's the way you know it's the right way around. And that's what that should look like. And then there's a piece of sticky tape on the back of here, would I call it. And all you do is you just peel that off, and then that'll just stick on the back of the battery. You don't have to have it 100% lined up, just make sure it looks good enough, like it does here. There you go. And the wire for the trackpad, if you just push that to one side so it just doesn't get caught in any way, you can just put it on the right hand side as shown here. And on the back here, these have got tiny little latches, so all you're going to do is lift the latch up, you're going to push the ribbon into it, and then you're just going to press the latch down. So you can see there that the latches were lifted up and they were pressed down. And then the final one is this one over here. This is the longest one. So you're just going to line it up, push it in. If it's a little bit tricky, don't stress, just take your time, no rush. That one's in, and then just press the latch down and it locks into place. And that's what it all should look like. The next thing is going to be to reinstall these two screws that you took off at the start of the video. The one on the left and the right hand side. And I don't think I've got to mention, but these are going in clockwise. The next thing that you're going to do is start and grab the back pieces, and this is the first one. This is the plastic piece. This is what it should look like. So if you just put that here and you grab one of your paddles. Now the paddles where the rods go in, sometimes it's a little bit stiff, so if you want to grab your screwdriver that was provided and just put it in the hole and just turn it left and right, and just make sure there's nothing inside there stopping the rod from going in. The rod should just push in like this, so if you get the rod, and it should just go in place like so. And if you grab the plastic piece again here and you just line this up and you press it down, it should snap into place. Exactly the same with the other one. If you want to do the same, if the rod's not going in, just get the screwdriver again that was provided and put it in the hole and just turn left and right and just make sure everything's clear, which it is. And then you just want to grab your other rod and you're going to just put this through the hole. Just make sure that's lined up, and again put it on the back here on the plastic piece. You should be able to see here where it's going into place, and if the rod doesn't go in, just push it up a little bit or down a little bit. The next thing you're going to do is grab your back piece and you're going to put this on it like so. You'll line it up and you've got 4 holes on the back. The screws that were provided, you're just going to be fitting into here. You can see there the points that have been noted, and these are the screws that you're going to be using. So again, clockwise, just to put these in. When you fit all 4 of them screws, that's what it should look like. It should be nice and flush and looking like this. Then you're going to grab your other part of the control pad, and there's a little hole in the back here that you're going to put this ribbon through. And we've got another little board here, which again has got another little latch like it did on the back of the one that went on the battery. You're just going to gently lift this up, be really careful. and then this is just going to push into here. It only goes in a tiny little bit, and then just press it down and that's locked into place. Now if you lift this up a little bit, you can put it on a bit of an angle so it goes down, and then you've got it like this, and then push it and then it should be in place. These are the little points that it does go into. And then the next thing we're going to do is just put 2 screws in the top here just to hold this into place. The screws, you can see, are the really skinny ones. And again, clockwise, just put these both in. When the 2 screws are fitted, the next thing we're going to do is just put the controller pretty much back together. You're going to go from the top to the bottom. So you can see there it's pushed in the top and push on the bottom, and just make sure everything snaps into place, and that's what it should look like. And then we're going to grab the back half. This is the one with obviously the buttons on rather than the paddles. And on the top here, this is just what lights up. Well, it doesn't light up, this is just kind of like a little window, so when you put it into remap mode, you'll be able to see that the light is lighting up. And then that just pushes on here because there's 2 tiny little nipples that you go on, and that's what that should look like. The next thing that you're going to do is grab this from the kit, and these are just tiny little sort of pads to keep the noise down, because obviously with it being a metal back button kit, this will just keep the noise down a little bit. You've got these tiny little squares, and you're just going to position these the way that they all are on the video, and if you follow this, it should just help the noise stay down a little bit. All they do is just press on top like so. So that's what it should look like. You can see here for reference there's 3 on the left and 3 on the right, 2 on the top and 1 on the bottom, and just press them down just to make sure they're in place. Now these are the buttons rather than the paddles, so all you're going to do with this is you're just going to literally go under, and then there's another tiny little piece that comes in the kit, and you're just going to put this through here like so. You're just going to press that down as much as you can, and then if you grab your prying tool and you just push this down a little bit more, and there we go, push that into place. And then on the sides here, if you just get your prying tool and you just kind of poke it in a little bit and just adjust it a little bit, and then you can see now it moves. So that's what that should look like on that side, and then exactly the same on the opposite side. We're going to go under again, grab the tiny little piece, and we're just going to gently put this inside here, push down as much as you can, that's what that looks like. And then again, grab the prying tool just to push it down a little bit more until it goes into place like it has. And then on the side, exactly the same as the opposite, just put your prying tool in here and just move it around a little bit. And then the button should be free to press like it is. The last piece you're going to be grabbing here is just for the back button, just to remap it. This is what it is, just a tiny little metal button. This only goes in one way, as it's got a little tiny piece that pops out on the left hand side. If you take a tiny little piece of tape off and you just put this kind of over the button right in the middle and just press that down, that'll just hold it into place. And that's what the back should look like. And then all you're going to do is just go over under. So I'm going to put it from the top, line it up, and then just press down on the bottom. And then that's what it should look like. Everything should be in place. Make sure everything works. Now we're just going to do a reverse process of the way we started. We're just going to fit these two screws back on the top. And when them are in, exactly the same as the bottom, we're just going to be replacing these two screws that we took out earlier. Again, clockwise. And the final part is to fit L1 and R1. These just push into place. You just line them up and just press them straight down. Just make sure they work. And the little fascia bit, all you do is just push up, press down, and it should all snap into place. And that's it, all done. This install is going to be for the version 20, and if you want to check the reference on the left hand side to see if you actually do have a 20 or a 10. And the same thing you always get in the box, you get your back case, you get your prying tool, your screwdriver, your spare screws. If you do get the back case, my personal preference is the rubberized one. And this time we've got the black metal buttons. I'm just removing everything out just to show you what you do get. So you'll get two paddles, you'll get the plastic piece which is your holder, and the buttons itself here. And as always, your little warranty card. The first thing you're going to do is remove L1 and R1. To do that, all you're going to do is grab your prying tool that you got and you're going to put it underneath the buttons, and you're just going to go left and right, and they should just lift straight out. Once you've done that, if you turn the pad upside down and you start with the fascia, so the corners, as pointed in the video, you're just going to put your prying tool into the corners, just press down with a little bit of pressure, and they should just lift straight off. And then just go along the line here, and that will remove the rest of it. And then just lift that up. And then now what we're going to do on the bottom here, we've got with two screws that we're going to be removing. Just do that anti-clockwise and they'll come straight out. Next thing, you're going to have to remove the screws on the top. You've got another two there, so you're going to do them anti-clockwise as well. You can see here on the control pad there's two little sort of tabs. All you're going to be doing is just putting your prying tool in here and just lifting these up a little bit. This is just to make the controller snap in half, so to speak, or prise apart. And then if you just put the prying tool in the sides here, just to give a little bit extra, and then the back should just lift straight off, and then just put that to one side. The next thing you're going to do is remove the battery, and there's a little tiny connector here you can see, but just be really careful. Just give it a tiny wiggle and it should lift out. You've got a ribbon on the bottom here, and you're just going to move this to one side. So that should just lift up and move over to one side. You've got another little screw here which is just holding the battery tray in. All you're going to do is remove that. Again, anti-clockwise. And you've got two screws on the left and the right hand side here noted. So you're going to be taking these out as well, anti-clockwise again. Once both them screws are out, all you're going to do is just remove the battery tray, put that to one side just to keep it safe. The next thing we're going to be doing is taking the cable out from the top here. If you do struggle, just grab yourself some tweezers and that should make it a little bit easier. And you've got another one on the bottom here which you're just going to be removing as well. Just pull that out. You've got one on the left and the right hand side. These should be easier to remove because you can grab the whole ribbon to take this out. And if you remove the other part of it so it totally comes out, so you haven't got any in whatsoever, same with this side, remove the first part and then just turn it around a little bit and remove the other side, as we'll be replacing both these anyways. Now on the top here, on the right hand side and the left, you've got little tabs, what's holding the board in. You're just going to press these a little bit and it will release the board. And then if you just put that to one side, and then next what you're going to be doing is removing the trackpad. Now to get this out, you're going to have to kind of pull it up a little bit, if that makes sense, and then it'll just come straight out. And there's one screw holding this one in on the right hand side. We're just going to remove that now. When that screw's removed, all you're going to do is pry this up slightly, just a little bit, and you're just going to gently kind of push it. Just work your way, don't be too aggressive with it, just do it kind of gently, so to speak. And that's how it should come off. And then the next thing we're going to do is just take the ribbon cable out. That just pulls straight out. And it's time to turn the soldering iron on. So the little tiny point that you're going to have to be soldering is this one here. And the first thing that you want to do is just put some fresh solder on top of it, just so you've got a better connection. Just a tiny little drop will do. And then inside the kit you will find the really thin wire that you're going to need for the trackpad. And if you just grab one end of it, and you're just going to be soldering it onto this point, and make sure the wire is facing left when you do solder it on. And then we're just going to be replacing the ribbon cable that we took out. This just pushes back into place. And then we're just going to put it back through the hole that the ribbon cable does go through. And then we're just going to put the screw back in on the right hand side. When you've done that, we're going to grab the front cover again, and we're going to remove the share and the options button, and we're just going to put the trackpad back in again. So we're going to go from the top to the bottom and just press that down so it snaps into place. Just make sure nothing's getting caught in its way. And then we're just going to replace them buttons, the share and the options. And for the L3 and the R3 soldering, these are the points. If you want to look at these on the left hand side and the right hand side, you can see here, these are the two. Now what you're going to do is go inside your kit and you should find this cable, or this ribbon I should say. and you're going to place this on top. You're just going to line it up with the points that you need to solder on, and then if you use some tape just to hold this down, just so it doesn't move about. And just press that down. That's what it should look like. And then if you grab your soldering iron again, and we're just going to put a few fresh points on top of here. It's as easy as that. And then we're just going to remove the tapes again. Just be careful when you remove these tapes, you don't want to pull the ribbon away. And that's what it should look like on the left and the right hand side. That's a bit of a closer view for you. We're going to be grabbing this wire again, and we're just going to be putting it through the hole that the original ribbon cable went through that we started with. And just make sure you get this lined up so it goes through, and just press that into place. The next thing that you're going to do is grab this from the kit, and this is the main thing that puts everything together. You've got a tiny little point on here, what you're going to be soldering on for your trackpad, or your touchpad, whatever you want to call it. And then just put a fresh spot of solder on there, just so you've got a better connection. And if you grab the other end of the wire, and you put it on this little spot, and there we have it, done. Now if you open the board again, and just lift it over, this aligns up with this. You can see there's two tiny little prongs or nipples or whatever you want to call them. Just push this into place so they go over the top like that, so it goes over the original one, and that's what it should look like. Be careful of this ribbon on the bottom because it does get caught sometimes. The one on the very bottom, it's the smallest one. And then you're just going to sandwich the board together, press everything in place. Now we're going to replace this ribbon, the one that we took out. You can see there's a little line on there just to make sure you've got it lined up. And this bottom one that I mentioned, we're going to replace that one. It does get caught on the bottom sometimes, so just be careful with that one. And inside the packet here, these are the ones for the left and the right hand side. These are the ones that you're going to be cutting. And inside here is just a little reference so you can see what's what. If you've got a 10 or a 20, it's just letting you know which ones to cut and which ones you have cut. So to cut these, all you're going to do is just grab some scissors, or if you have some little cutting tools like what's on the video, you can use them. And you can use the diagram on here just to make sure you've done it all right. It'll let you know if you have or you haven't. And then we're going to be replacing this for the original one. You can see this just goes down the side here, it just presses down. And then once that's pressed into place, all you're going to do is fold it over, and you're going to put it into the other side. There we go, that one's in. Nice and snug. And exactly the same for the other side, just cut whichever ones that you need. It does tell you, if you look really carefully, you can see it says BDM 010 and BDM 020. And again, just cut these to whichever control pad you're using. And then you can use the diagram here again just to make sure it's right, which it is. And then all you're going to do is you're going to be folding this over, and that's what it should look like, and the same with the other side, fold it over, but just be really careful that you've got it the right way. Don't fold it the other way, just make sure it's like this. And the first one we're going to put in the corner here. That just presses down. Once you get it lined up, there we go, that's pressed straight into place. And if you gently fold this over and the other side goes into this bit, and that's what it should look like. If you go ahead and grab the battery tray, we're going to be putting that on, but you're going to have to remove these ribbons out the way so everything's not caught. Make sure the one at the bottom isn't in the way either, and then we're just going to put that over there. This one here we're just going to place back in. That just goes kind of in the little hole and then just press it down. And then we're going to replace the screw that we took out earlier. That goes in clockwise again. We're going to be reconnecting the battery here. There's not really a wrong way that you can do this, it only goes in one way. So that pushes in, and then the battery just presses down. Now on the back of here you've got some sort of sticky tape. We're just going to be removing this, and this is just going to stick on the battery, or the back of the battery, just to hold everything into place. It doesn't have to be perfectly lined up, just as long as it's on. And if you can push the wire down here, this is for obviously your trackpad, just to make it look a little bit nicer. And on the back here we've got 3 latches. All you're going to be doing is lifting the latches up. You're going to push the ribbon in, and then you're just going to press it down. So you can see there, be gentle when you do this. So the latch is up. Push the ribbon into place and then push the latch down. And then the last one is on this side. We're just going to lift that latch up. Push the ribbon in. Make sure it's in, and then just press down, and that locks it into place. Like so, and that's what it should look like. Once you've done that, the next thing that you're going to do is replace these 2 screws that you took out earlier, the ones on the left and the right hand side. Just grab your screws and replace them. Now if you want to grab the plastic piece for your back button kit, and just put this down, and then grab one of your paddles. Now the paddles, when you do get them, if you want to grab your screwdriver and put it in the hole just to make sure the rod will go in. I mean, the rod might fit in, but it's just in case there's anything that's stopping it. So if you want to put the screwdriver in and just twist left and right, and then grab one of your tiny little metal rods and just put it in, and it should push in just like that. And then if you line it up and you put it on the plastic piece on the back here, it should just snap into place. And the same with the other side. If you want to grab the screwdriver again and just make sure the hole is clear and clean. There could be some sort of paint or something stopping it. This is just to like help it out a little bit. And then if you grab the rod and you put it in, just press it through. And then the same as the other side, just line it up and just press it down. If they don't snap into place, just make sure the rod is lined up. Now the back here, you're going to put this piece over it, and you can see there's 4 holes, so you're just going to align them up, and you're going to fit 4 screws into here. Now the screws are going to be these ones that are provided in the kit, so you're just going to install these. and the same as the other ones, you're going to be doing it clockwise. When all 4 of them screws are fitted, that's what it should look like. It should all be lined up, nothing should be sticking out or anything. And then you're going to grab your other part of the control pad and you're going to feed this ribbon cable through here, through the hole on the back. And then in the kit you've got a little board here, and this has got a little tiny latch on the back of it. All you're going to be doing is just lifting that up. You're going to be sliding the ribbon into this, and when it's in, you're just going to be pressing the latch down so it locks it into place. And then if you just lift this up a little bit and make sure the board is on the bottom here, and then just press it down, and that should be in place. You can see there's 2 tiny little plastic pieces that are holding it. And then on the top here, you're going to have to fit it with 2 screws. The screws that you're going to be using are the really small ones. When the 2 screws are in, all you're going to do now is you're going to put the controller together. You're going to go from the top to the bottom. So I always like to put the top half in first and then push it all together. Just make sure all the sides and everything have snapped into place and nothing looks out. And then we're going to grab the back button kit here. We're going to be removing the buttons, and that's what it should look like. So you can see here, this little bit is just so when you put it in remap mode, you'll be able to see the light what's on. You're just going to put that under and then just press down. There's 2 tiny little pieces what hold that into place, and that's what that should look like. Next, you're going to be fitting these. You're going to need some tweezers to pick these off, but this is just to keep the noise down, because obviously there are metal buttons and they might make a little bit of a noise. This is just to keep it a little bit quieter. They should just pull apart like this. And as you can see by the photo in the top left hand corner there, we're going to have 3 on either side. We're going to have 2 on the top and 1 on the bottom. So if you just place these roughly the same place as they are in the video, you should be fine. Once you have fitted all these, this is what it should look like. As I mentioned, you've got 3 on either side, 2 on the top, 1 on the bottom. And that's a little bit of a better reference for you to what it should look like. It's just to reduce the noise. And just press these down just to make sure they are firmly in place. Next, what you're going to do is grab one of your buttons, and that's what it should look like. This is the K4. You're just going to put it in here, press down a little bit, and then inside the kit you've got these tiny little pieces what you're going to be pushing through. So you can see there, and just press down as much as you can. And that's what it should look like. And then if you grab your prying tool, this will just give you an extra hand or a little bit help. Push that down, and then there we go. And then if you put your prying tool in the side here, and you just press it out just a little bit, and then now the button should press freely, as you can see. And that's what it should look like. And exactly the same on this side, same process. This one's K3. We're just going to put that one into place, like so. And we're going to grab the little metal piece again. We're just going to put that in, and we're just going to press it down a little bit. That's what it should look like. And then again, if you grab your prying tool, just to give you a little extra hand, and then just push that down to get it totally into place. There we go. And put it in the corner here, or the side, and just press in a little bit. And again, the button should press freely. And that's what it'll look like. And this little piece is just to put it into remap mode. There's only one way that you can put this in. You can see on the left hand side there, there's a little piece that sticks out. So like I say, it's only one way you can put this in. And if you grab this little sticky piece, this is just going to hold it into place. You're going to put this over the middle of it, pretty much dead on in the center, and then just press that down, make sure it's in place, which it is, and all looks good. Now the way you're going to be fitting this is from the top to the bottom. So if you put it over and then press down, then that should snap into place, and then just check everything's working, your paddles and your buttons and the middle button. Now we're going to be replacing the screws that we took out earlier on the top. You've got 2 of them, so we'll quickly put them back in. Once them 2 are in, you're going to replace the 2 on the bottom that you removed earlier as well. Exactly the same process. When both them screws are in, one of the last pieces that you've got to do of the puzzle is fit L1 and R1. These just press straight into place. Just align them up and just press down and just double check that they work. And then the front fascia, if you just push up and you just press down, just make sure the corners are over and everything's lined up. Once you've fully installed the kit, if you want to do a little pre-check just to make sure everything's working, all you want to do is hold K1 and the remap button together. You'll see a tiny little light comes on, and this is just letting you know it's kind of in test mode. You can press all the paddles and the buttons and you'll see it's blinking, and that's just letting you know that everything's working. If you put it into remap mode, you hold the remap button and you should get a constant solid light, which is there, and that just lets you know again that you've done everything right. Now again, we're going to hold the K1 and the remap button together. And this time we're greeted by a flashing light. This means there's normally something wrong. 9 times out of 10, it's your L1, L2 ribbon cable. It's normally the wrong way around. And again, if we try to put it into remap mode when it's not right, you can see there it's flashing. Now it's always an easy fix, so I wouldn't stress out and I wouldn't worry. You'll be able to fix it no problem. This is just to help you and let you know that there is an issue just with the install. This is just showing you that you can remap any button you like to the control pad. Now when you are ready to put it in remap mode, all you want to do is press the power button on your PlayStation. Make sure your PlayStation is turned on, otherwise the control pad will turn off. Now to put it into remap mode, you want to hold the back button for 5 seconds and you should get a solid light. If you want to remap say K1 to R3, you're going to obviously hold them both together and you'll get a tiny little quick flash. That just means it's successful. And then if you want to do K2 to L2, exactly the same, just hold them together. And again, you'll get the little tiny flash to let you know that it's done. And if you want to remap K3 to triangle, again, hold them both together and you'll get that little quick flash. And last but not least, K4. We're just going to remap that to one of the directional buttons. So if you hold them both together and it'll flash again, just to let you know that it's done. Now you always need to exit remap mode. It's the same process to go in to exit. You hold the button for 5 seconds. And this is just showing you how the buttons are all working on the back. So that one is ADSing or aiming in. And we've got the one to change weapons, just to let you know everything's working. My personal preference is to have X on the right hand side and circle on the left hand side. So my right hand side is jump and my left hand side is crouch. It's just the personal way I like to do it. I've used that for a couple of years now, but I guess just do it however you like. If you wish to cancel all your buttons, if you don't want any assigned, all you want to do is press up, left, triangle, circle, L1 and R1 all together, and you'll get 3 slow flashing lights, and this will just let you know that you've successfully cancelled all the buttons, so nothing will be remapped to anything. So you can see here when we're pressing the paddles and the buttons, nothing's happening. That's just to let you know that it's worked. On the screen here we've got a few FAQs if you just want to have a little read through these if you do get stuck. So that's all for the installation of the Real Metal Back Buttons RISE4 remap kit. Any thoughts or questions about the product, feel free to leave a comment, but as always, thank you for watching.